Hi everyone, so for week 6 you'll be writing your own creative writing prompts based on what you learned through the shorts and through the analysis questions that you did last week. So if you go down and you click on week 6, you're going to see a presentation that looks something like this. And what you're going to do for this presentation is look at the pictures, find a picture you want to write about, and use the prompts that they give you or make your own. So what I mean by that is if you scroll down, you'll see that there are some pictures and there are some writing prompts. And each picture has its own unique writing prompt. You can choose to basically use this writing prompt as the first sentence or a part of your story, or if you don't like them, you can tweak it a bit, you can kind of generate your own. So we're asking you to pick one of the pictures that you see in the presentation and use this writing prompt to generate a story, tweak it, or make your own writing prompt. And there's also an option for if you don't like any of these pictures or writing prompts to pick your own picture and write a prompt about it. So I guess the point of these is really just to help you generate ideas for a story that you're going to write, not necessarily to limit you in any way. After you've chosen a writing prompt, or I guess a picture prompt, what you're going to do is click on this document. And this document is going to help you plan out your story. And it's going to ask you very specific details about what your story will look like. So if you want to look at the pictures again, you can click on this link here. It's going to show you what the pictures look like, and you can copy and paste it onto this document, or you can just describe to me what picture you're using, especially if you're using your own. I would want to be able to know what that picture is. And so as you're scrolling along this, you are going to read some things that will help you kind of set the scene for answering some questions in these boxes. And so it's going to ask you maybe what is the theme of your story, who are your characters, who's the protagonist, the main character in your story, the antagonist, who is kind of like the enemy or the opposing force or figure in your story, and then some optional characters. It'll ask you about what's the conflict, so what type of conflict is it, what does your protagonist want, how does the antagonist get in the way, and how does your protagonist change throughout, how is the conflict going to be solved. These are some questions that you might want to answer, and then it's going to help you outline your story. So these are kind of some sentence starters. Again, some people like to write their story first and then do this, but then I find that if I do this first, I can basically know what is going to happen throughout my story, and it helps me write in a more comprehensive way so that I know that there's a climax, so that I know that there's a resolution before I even start the story. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like later too, just because this is a lot of planning. After you've picked a prompt and you've brainstormed your entire story, you're going to click on the next part of your assignment, which is to write your actual story. It's going to look something like this. So you're going to use these as a guide to start to generate your story. These are some sentence stems to kind of help you along, or just to help you remember what part of the story that is. But you don't have to use these sentence stems as part of your story. They're kind of just to help you figure out what part of the story you're at. And once you've written out your story, you want to highlight 3 examples where you showed characterization. So you showed me how you portrayed or showed what a character is like in a specific way. So if he's a really mean character or she's a really mean character, how did you make it so that you showed the audience that he or she was the main character? Did you use dialogue? Did you use how he interacted with another character? Things like that. You want to highlight in green one example of dialogue. So what are the characters saying to each other in quotation marks? And then 3 examples of transitions where you showed me that you were jumping from one scene or starting another scene or ending a scene. Again, if you feel stuck, don't feel like you're the only one. Writing, especially creative writing, is a lot harder for some people than other people, and you can just click on the exemplars and look at how I would have done it for a story like this, but you're going to write your own story. And then finally for week 6, after you've planned out your story, you've written the story, you might have looked at the exemplar because it was kind of hard to do. You're going to write a reflection about what the writing process is like. And so this is a Google form. You guys are all used to this. Answer the questions in here and you will be all set with week 6.